but some good news for people working in the hospitality sector. New research is showing that wages for some have increased as much as 12%.
Well, it's hard to get staff for bars and restaurants, and these premises are scrambling to attract and retain workers. Companies now offer flexible working hours, bonus pay, free meals, other sorts of perks as well. Kate Nichols is the CEO of UK Hospitality. That's the trade body for pubs, restaurants and hotel operators.
Very good morning to you, Katie. So tell us, 12%, we're talking about how much for people like chefs compared to pre-pandemic price tags or job tags?
Good morning to you. We are seeing wage rate inflation going through the sector, with wages going up by about 11 to 13% across a wide range of roles. So if you're looking at quite a lot of the chef roles, the specialist chef roles, they've jumped from about 30 to 40. Some of the senior management roles, 40 to 50,000 pounds a year, and even at the lower levels, the average wage rate now for bar staff over £20,000, and again for frontline waiting staff. So we've been seeing quite large increases in salaries, as you might expect when you've had a sector that's closed down for 2 years effectively, and you've got wage rates going through to attract people back to it, but also a whole overhaul of ways of working, terms and conditions that sit alongside it. So it does mean that there's never been a better time for people to start their career in hospitality.
Great news for the staff involved. What about the businesses that you represent? How much of a hit is this for them, or can they absorb this?
Well, this is quite a challenge for businesses. That is the flip side of this. And obviously, we are facing into some considerable inflationary headwinds as we move towards April, when we see the national living wage and national minimum wage go up again by over 6%, and you've got that introduction of NICs. But I think, as you hinted at the opening to this piece, Eamon, we have seen staff shortages, we have seen 10% vacancy rates across the sector, so businesses are looking to attract staff, make sure that they've got a full complement so they can meet demand as we start to reopen and head into the busy Easter trading season. So it is a bit of a double-edged sword for the staff and for the businesses themselves, and unfortunately I don't think businesses are going to be able to absorb all of these welter of costs, including the wages, without putting prices up. So I think we are going to see some inflation across the sector coming through, and that is going to feed through into price increases for customers as they come out towards April. We are going to see increases in price of about 8 to 10%.
Gosh, OK, that's a significant increase then for people who are already worried about, stagnating wages in the other sectors outside of hospitality, and of course all the rises that we talk about all the time, and energy prices and taxes as well. Do you worry then about how likely it is people will think twice about going to the pub for a drink or for a meal if they're seeing those prices going up to pay for the staff, as you say? Is it all just bad news for hospitality, really?
Well, we are incredibly worried about that. Obviously, it's a very fine balancing act when you do have to put prices up, but our businesses are not immune from all the pressures. We've seen 50 to 100% increases in energy bills. You've also got increases in property costs, and unfortunately, the situation is going to be exacerbated by the government increasing taxes. So half of that price increase that I talked about is coming from the change in the VAT rate, increasing from 12.5% to 20%. And really, our hospitality businesses have used that lower rate of VAT, which is common across Europe and is one of the things we can do post-Brexit, having that different rate. We've used it to insulate customers from price increases, but unfortunately, we're not going to be able to going forward. So it is a fine balancing act. That might suppress demand, but we will need to do it. Otherwise, we are talking about businesses not being able to survive and people not being able to pay staff and have the staff that they need to be able to function fully.
Kate, where did all our hospitality staff go? When I was young, when I was a teenager, that's what you did. People worked in pubs and people worked in restaurants. I worked well into my 20s.
I worked in a bar.
In a pub, yeah. I mean, that's what we did. Why do so many people post-Brexit not want to do those jobs anymore?
Well, I think there's three things that we've seen post-COVID, and it is particularly a COVID reaction that we're seeing here. One is we have seen a displacement of workers. People have gone abroad, gone back home. A large proportion of foreign workers went home during the pandemic, haven't been able to come back due to travel restrictions, so we're hopeful that many will return. But also we've seen a displacement across the UK with people not staying in the major towns and city centres, particularly London. Secondly, we've had a 2-year hiatus in our talent pipeline. You can't train people when you are closed, literally, and therefore we don't have the pipeline of young people coming through out of catering colleges, out of hospitality and hotel schools to be able to join. And thirdly, we've had young people who've had 2 years where they've been locked down, haven't got into the habit of having part-time jobs, and we haven't seen them returning to the workforce in as many numbers. But we are hopeful that as we come out, as the government sets out, that will no longer be closed, because that has inhibited hospitality. If you can't give people certainty around their shifts because you don't know whether you're going to be open or closed on the whim of the government, that makes it difficult to attract people to it as a career. But hopefully today's news about good quality jobs, training, terms and conditions and wages will help us to make that compelling case to people that you can come to hospitality, you can get transferable skills, those soft skills that you can't learn anywhere else, and will stand you in good stead for finding a career either in our businesses where the sky's the limit or moving into another industry.
Kate, thank you very much indeed. Kate is from the hospitality body for pubs, restaurants and hotel operators. It's very interesting she's talking about soft skills, because I remember, you know, as a teenager, as a 15-year-old going into a pub and literally...
Sorry, what? As a 15-year-old going into a pub? Oh, was that allowed? Age 15?
Look, it was Ireland. You can do what you want. Basically, and learning how to talk to people, learning how to interview people, learning lots of things, just those social skills.
Yeah. I was a shots girl, and there was an army barracks nearby, so I got used to dealing with rowdy soldiers, which was quite fun.
Yeah, so I think Kate's right, all those soft skills. It's quite interesting to think, where do youngsters learn those skills nowadays if they're not getting involved in the hospitality industry?